Well, that time of year is here again. College football officially back. Beef up front, back in the house. Ryan Coyle, Joe Kmetz, back for our weekly show, the college football preview show. We'll preview each and every week the top five games as well as the top group of five game. Give our lock of the week, our dog of the day. But we got our week zero rendition today, Joseph. A little bit of a different one here. We'll go through our conference champion winners, our national champion winner, and our Heisman winner, and then preview the first five games of the college football season. Then we got this upcoming week zero. Give our dog, give our lock, and get back into the swing of things. It feels good. It was a busy off season for Mr. Kmetz over here. Put a ring on it. Engaged man.
Thank
It's
you.
crazy how far we've come. But Joe, it's week zero. I'll give you the floor. Give your annual appetizer speech.
Yeah, I mean, we're back once again, year six of you and I doing this podcast. And it's the best time of year. I mean, I say it every year. This is the appetizer. I'm ready for the main course. I don't like being fucking hungry. I'm ready for the main course. But I'm very excited for week zero. We got a great rivalry game to start off the season, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I'm looking forward to it. Football's back all week up here. It's been like I've been waking up. It's been in the 50s, a little chill in the air. It's starting to feel like fall. You're really getting that, fall vibes, getting ready for football. I can't wait, and I'm ready to dive into it.
It's an exciting time of year for sure. It's gonna be fun to see those helmets on Saturday. One really good game there in week zero on Saturday, as we talked about, and then there's a handful of solid games, maybe one or two where there are not going to be many eyeballs on. The UNLV Idaho State game is on the Mountain West Network. I don't know how we're going to get eyes on that at all. But Fresno State, Kansas ain't bad. Interested to see Stanford and Hawaii. It should be fun. And then next week's slate of games is awesome. So really looking forward to getting into it, breaking it all down with you, Joseph. Let's get into our conference champion winners, our conference championship kind of around the table, quick hits. SEC champion this year, Joseph, will be who?
I'm going Texas. I'm going with the Longhorns. I am all in on Arch Manning, and I have them beating Bama in Atlanta in the SEC championship game to go to the playoff, where I believe Texas will get a top four seed. I'd be shocked if the SEC champ doesn't get a top four seed, but I believe Texas will be winning the SEC this year.
I'm going with Texas as well. I have them beating Georgia. Texas is plus 270. Very interested to see the Arch hype, what that kind of leads to. I actually have them going 13-0 in the regular season and that SEC title game. Spoiler alert, do not have them winning my national championship, but I do have them winning their first SEC title this year under Sark with Arch leading the way. Over to the Big Ten. Is it Penn State's year finally, Joe? It's been a while. I feel like this has been the build up. Can James Franklin finally get over the top this year?
Yes, I'm going Penn State over Ohio State, which I think they will avenge their regular season loss. I have them losing at Ohio State in the regular season. I think they will be the road team in this game. They will end up beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten. Because if it doesn't happen this year, an uncomfortable conversation is going to have to happen in Happy Valley. I'm not saying you're going to fire James Franklin because it's tough to fire a guy that gets 10 plus wins every year. But it's one of those, like, the vibes are kind of like, if it's not going to happen this year, when is it going to happen again? Because this is the best Penn State team we've seen in a very long time. You could argue maybe in our lifetime in terms of like the preseason, Penn State teams. But I think Penn State's going to beat Ohio State. I think Drew Aller is going to put it together. I think this is a very complete team. I think they're going to go 11-1. They'll lose at Ohio State, but then they will win the rematch and get a top four seed.
Yeah, it's a kind of like I think maybe like a Brian Kelly situation at Notre Dame, where it's like if they can't get over the top this year, maybe he looks to go elsewhere. I think James Franklin has a job there for kind of as long as he wants. It's more so the backlash and criticism that he receives. Does he want to get that if they don't make it over the top this year? But he could solve all that with just winning the big games, getting over the top, beating in Ohio State, winning the Big Ten title, winning a national championship. I mean, they did go to the Final Four last year, and they're a drive away, a bad throw away by Drew Aller, potentially going to the final. So I think there's a little bit too much kind of pressure on him for what he's built that team into. But this is a year. This is what they've been building towards. That's why I like Penn State as well. I have them beating Ohio State as well. So Penn State plus 220 to win the Big Ten there. Same kind of situation as you, Joe, where I think Penn State goes to Ohio State and drops that game, but you get them on a neutral. You get to see them for a second time. That Penn State team's out for blood, out for revenge. I think they beat Ohio State there in the Big Ten title game. All right, over to the Big 12 now. I think the most open conference. I think you can make an argument 6 to 7 different teams. We saw Arizona State last year come from projected to finish last in the conference to winning the Big 12 and to almost knocking off Texas. So we got a wide open Big 12 potentially again this year. What's your pick for that conference?
I'm going with Kansas State over Utah. Kansas State, Avery Johnson, Coyle. I believe you and I, more so you were all in on Avery Johnson last year, but I think we were just kind of a year early. I think Kansas State's going to bounce back. I think they're going to have a very good season. They've been the most consistent program in the Big 12 over the past couple of years, especially now with Oklahoma State bombing out last year, and who knows what's going to happen with them this year. But I really love Kansas State. I love them in week 0. We'll break that game down in a little bit, but I think they're going to win the championship in the Big 12. I have them at plus 550. Love Utah as a team. I also bet them. I believe it was plus 230. I'm still doing this on my phone because my computer still makes noises. But I believe it was plus 230 for them to make the Big 12 title game. I almost like that more than Kansas State to win the Big 12, which doesn't make any sense. But that's what I'm on.
I'm going with Utah over K-State here, plus 600. I'm big on the Utah bounce back this year after adding Devin Dampier. I don't think Kyle Whittingham will have 2 down years in a row. And there's been a lot of rumors that this could potentially be his last year. So I think for a guy that's been there as long as he has, it's been as successful as he has, he's going to give everything he has this year. The team, I think, is going to give everything they have this year. The interim coach is already on the staff. I think it's their defensive coordinator. So there's a total buy-in there from this program, and they have a top 10 offensive linemen, most likely in the NFL draft coming up this year in Fano. They're going to have a great defense, and they have one of the best home field advantages in the sport. So roles reversed here for my pick and your pick. I got Utah over K-State at plus 600. All right, final one. We go to the ACC champion, Joe. Give me your pick there.
I'm going with Clemson. No surprise here. I think they're going to be they're the favorite in terms of like all the power conferences. They have the best odds to win their conference. I have them over Georgia Tech. I'm a big believer in the Yellow Jackets this year. I am also on Georgia Tech to make the playoff. I have them at plus 730 to make the playoff. I think they're going to be really good this year. They host Clemson in week 4, I want to say. And they also are playing Georgia at a neutral site this year rather than they kind of got screwed. They were supposed to host a game. Now they're doing it at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But I really like Georgia Tech this year. I think they're going to be this year's SMU. And I think you're going to have one of those situations once again where like if they're 11-1, 10-2, let's say they pull off the upset over Clemson or they beat Georgia and they lose a close game, like the committee's going to kind of be in a spot again. It's like we saw what happened last year with SMU. Do we want to risk this or do we just say screw it? They're one of the best 12 teams. I think Georgia Tech will get in the playoff. I think they're going to be like to that like 11-12 range. You're going to be at the bottom of the bracket, but I think they're going to sneak in. I am a big believer in Brent Key with this Georgia Tech team this year.
I just said the same thing to McClay recently. I said, if we get one conference where there's a team that kind of comes out of nowhere, or like last year was Arizona State, I don't think Georgia Tech's going to come out of nowhere, but I think it would still be a major surprise. Like, I'm not going to be shocked if they're winning the ACC this year. I have Clemson winning, just like you. I have them beating Louisville, who I'm also really high on. I'm low-key kind of high on the ACC. Like, I think there's going to be a bunch of teams in that 9-3 to maybe like 10-2 mix. I do like Clemson to win. 5 projected first-round picks. They have Kate Klubnik coming back for year 3, Garrett Riley back for year 3 as the offensive coordinator, loaded defensive line, best receiver group that they've had in a while. This is a loaded Clemson team from top to bottom. I really like them to win that conference there at plus 105. But I'm with you. Georgia Tech is that wild card team. I really think looking at their schedule, they could be 9-3, 10-2. They could be vying for a spot in the ACC title game as well. So I really like that Georgia Tech team as you do, but I'm going to go with Clemson as well to win the ACC. All right, how about our G5 playoff team? We get one team guaranteed to go to the playoff out of the Mountain West, Mountain West, CUSA, American, Sunbelt, and the MAC. You get one team to go to the playoff most likely out of that bunch. Who's your automatic qualifier, Joe?
So my automatic qualifier, while I think it's going to be the team you say, I don't want to spoil it, but to be different, I'm going to pick Tulane. Tulane, they got Retzlaff from BYU in the portal. I think that's going to be big for them. They got a lot of guys back from last year. I know they lost Mensa to Duke. That is going to be a big loss. But if you look at Tulane's schedule as well, They host Northwestern. Yeah, they're not great, but it's still a power conference team. They host Duke and their former quarterback, Darren Mensa, going back down to New Orleans. They play Ole Miss. They have the non-conference schedule to make up for if they were to drop a conference game, to kind of say like, hey, well, we played three power conference teams in the non-con. I know Boise, there's another one of those teams out there. They play at Notre Dame. That's a massive game if they were to pull off that upset for them. But when I look at who I think the G5 team can be, I look at their schedule is the big thing, and then it's usually going to be one of the heavy hitters. You're usually not going to get a G5 team besides that year when Western Michigan went 12-0. Like you're normally not getting a G5 team coming out of nowhere. Usually it's from the top, it's like the Boise, like UNLV's been talked about, Tulane, Memphis, like one of the bigger dogs. If Liberty goes 13-0 and you get a bunch of other teams losing, maybe they can get in as well. But I'm going to go with Tulane here as my G5 pick.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think adding Retzloff will be interesting. Interested to see if he actually is their guy from day one. But as you touched on, a few games against Power Five teams, Northwestern, Duke, they got a good chance to get their name out there and be ranked pretty quickly. So I'm going to play with the safe route of Boise State plus 180. Do they go back to back and be the G5 team? Remains to be seen. Obviously, no Ashton Genty this year, but they return their quarterback, their head coach, since he took over 2 years ago, Joe, as the interim, like midway through the year, and they've taken off ever since. They won the conference championship that year. They won last year. Obviously, they go to the playoff. It's a program that is certainly, I think, the most stable out of these G5 teams, and they have a pretty tough schedule. They have a good chance to get some decent wins. They play Notre Dame. I have them going 11-1, so their only loss on the year is to Notre Dame. And I think if they do that with that schedule that they have, they win the Mountain West. Obviously, I think they'll be going back to the playoffs. So I got them at plus 180. My team to keep an eye out for, though, for the G5 is Tulane. I think that's a team that could win 10 games this year as well. All right, national championship game, the college football playoff title game, Joe. Who will be holding up that trophy come January?
I have Clemson over Penn State. I am drinking the Clemson Kool-Aid this year. I'm all in on the Tigers. Even if they drop a game to LSU and Georgia Tech, because LSU is a non-conference game, to open up the season. I think they are on high upset alert when they play Georgia Tech early in the year. We will get to that game in a couple of weeks, obviously. I'm assuming that will be one of the top 5 games. But I love Klubnik. Dabo, as corny as he is one of the best coaches in the country. One of the few active head coaches, I think it's only 3. It's him, Ryan Day, and Kirby Smart with a national title. But and also to the ACC, while Coyle, I'm with you, I think it's going to be better than it has in years past. I still don't think there's a team on that level that can stop Clemson. So I think Clemson's going to roll into the playoff. I think they'll get a bye. I actually think they have the best chance of getting that number 1 seed, because I think out of all the power conference teams, they have the best chance of going 12-0. If they go 12-0 because it's Clemson, it's going to be tough to say that they don't deserve the 1 seed. If SMU goes 12-0, there's going to be people saying, well, it's SMU, they shouldn't be number 1 overall. But Clemson can very well get that 1 seed, get a much favorable path this year, because now they tweaked the seeding format. It's no more top 4 conference champs get the bye. It's just straight up 1 through 12. They still have the auto bids, but it's, straight up seeding wise. So I think Clemson's going to win the national title. I also bet Penn State to win the national title. I bet both these teams to win. That's why I have them going up against the other national title game. I think Clemson was a little bit longer odds than Penn State. Like I said, I can't check on my phone off the top of my head. I should have it pulled up on my computer, but as usual, I'm not as prepared. So I'm going to go with Clemson over Penn State for the national title game. The Jets will then get Cade Klubnik, and he'll probably be a bust because it's just what the Jets do. But
Yeah, I could certainly see that. I think when you look on paper, there's an argument that those are 2 of the top 3 or 4 most talented teams in the country. Can Dabo get back to the mountaintop? Can Penn State get over that mountain and actually make the national championship game? A lot of questions to be answered, but that's why they go out there on the field and play. My national championship game this year, I have Georgia beating LSU. Georgia plus 750 to win the national title is my official pick. And it's not just number 1 versus number 2. Last year, remember, we had number 7 versus number 8, I think it was, in the title game. This is Georgia, according to my seeding. I have them at number 6, LSU at number 9. So it'd be a pretty wild wild card football playoff, there would be a handful of upsets to get us there. But I think this is the most slept on Georgia team that we have going into the year. I feel like they haven't been talked about much, if at all. I haven't really seen anyone pick them to win the national title. I think that's kind of the bulletin board material Kirby needs. I think you can make an argument Kirby's the best coach in the entire sport. I think you can make an argument too that Gunnar Stockton is a better fit for what Georgia needs than Carson Beck. I think Gunnar Stockton adds a bit of a rushing element, but I think he's going to play it a little bit safer, take the smart plays, take the checkdowns, move the ball methodically down the field, and rely on that defense, which we know is going to be loaded once again. So really like this Georgia team. I think they're going to be rock solid. I think there's a good chance that they're favored in every game looking at their schedule as well. So give me Georgia to win the national championship this year, taking down LSU, plus 750 there for the Bulldogs to get back on top. All right, our final preseason selection, the Heisman Trophy winner for the 2025 season will be who?
Mine's boring, I know, but I'm going with Cade Klubnik. I think he's just going to have a monster year. I think Clemson's going to tear it up. But because I picked such a chalky, favorite pick, I am going with a long shot to keep an eye on Avery Johnson. I was kind of alluding to it earlier with Kansas State. I think they're going to have a monster year. I think he will obviously be the reason why. He is 50-1. Coyle and I were texting about it yesterday because for some reason in Connecticut, you can bet player props, but you can't bet the Heisman Trophy winner. But I'm going to be sending Coyle some money to place that bet for me. I said last year, I said Genty after week 1 when he was 100-1 at the time. Fell a little bit short, but I'm still taking that as a win. But I think Avery Johnson, and at the very least, will be in like the top 5, like the final ceremony in New York City.
All right. My pick for the Heisman Trophy winner this year, I'm going to go with my guy, my quarterback I've been hyping up all offseason, Lenora Sellers of South Carolina at plus 1,800. I think when you look at South Carolina's schedule, you can argue one of the 5 toughest schedules in the entire country. If he leads that South Carolina team to a 9-3 record, he's going to put up monster numbers along the way there. If he puts up Jaden Daniels-esque numbers from a couple seasons ago, I think he's going to be certainly in the mix there for the Heisman. And we've seen over the past couple of years, like record isn't as important as it used to be. Travis Hunter winning it last year, Colorado going 8-4, 9-3, whatever they did. Ashton Genty was in the mix last year as a power or as a G5 back. So it's more of an open-ended award now than I think it was in years past. And I think Lenore Sellers, I said it this offseason, when you watch him, it's lofty praise. It's bold to even make this statement, but he has a mixture of Cam Newton with his size and his rushing power to Lamar Jackson and his speed and his wiggle. The ability that Lenore Sellers just has as a raw football player is pretty insane. If he comes along as a passer this year, it wouldn't surprise me if he elevates South Carolina into a top 5, top 10 team by season's end. So I'm really looking forward to watching Sellers this year. He's my official pick to win the Heisman at plus 1,800. All right, that'll wrap up the preseason kind of coverage, whip around there. Our picks, our official picks there, and we get to move on to some actual games. It felt good. I was just talking to McClay about this, but actually getting to break down some games, getting to see some games on Saturday. Not the greatest crop of games, but it's one that we're going to be, 8 months from now, we're going to be like, I wish we had the chance to watch Idaho State at UNLV or Fresno State at Kansas. So it's here. Let's soak it up. Let's enjoy it. Number 22, Iowa State versus number 17, Kansas State. New kick on ESPN starts us off of the season over in Ireland. Kansas State -3, over under 49.5. We had an awesome game in Ireland last year between Georgia Tech and Florida State in the upset. Do we see another upset over across the pond here, Joe?
I don't think so. I think we're going to get Kansas State here 27-21. So I'm going to go with the Wildcats -3.5. I'm going to go with the under 49.5. I mean, what a great game we have to start the season. Big rivalry game with Farmageddon. You have not only 2 ranked teams, but also you could have a team, if you lose this game, you're already on the outside, looking in for the Big 12 title race, and it's not even Labor Day yet. This is a massive conference game to start off the season. Last year, I know Georgia Tech, when you look at it now, it's like, oh, that actually was like a bigger game for Georgia Tech. Like that game really had no impact on the ACC race. But last year in the preseason, it was Florida State was a top 15 team. If they win, it's kind of expected. Like this game doesn't really mean a lot for the ACC title race. Obviously, Florida State crashed and burned last year, but I'm really excited for this game. Very high stakes, awesome way to start off the season. But I think Kansas State's going to get it done. Avery Johnson, plus 204 plus passing yards on DraftKings is one of my favorite bets for this game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun one too. Very reminiscent to what we saw last year in that Ireland game, where kind of back and forth, and it could come down to who has the ball last. But this is a great way to open up the season. It's not going to surprise me if we look up in January or December, and this is the Big 12 title game. Iowa State won this game last year 29-21, punched their ticket to the Big 12 title game, got double-digit wins for the first time in school history. So they're coming off a historic season. But you look at Matt Campbell and his career at Iowa State, they've rarely had really good back-to-back seasons. And I think that's because when they have those breakout years, this program that builds guys up, develops guys in those junior, senior years, they kind of have a big season. You lose a lot of guys last year. You lose your top two receivers. You lose your top cornerback. You do bring back your quarterback, but it could be a team that takes a bit of a step back this year just because of all they lost the year before. Avery Johnson had a pretty good day against that Iowa State defense last year when they played, going for 220 and 3 touchdowns in the air and 64 yards on the ground. I'm expecting him, as like you touched on as well, Joe, to have a big upcoming season, take a big leap this year. Rocco Becht against Kansas State last year had one of his worst games of the season against this defense. He only went for 13 of 35 for 137 yards, only averaged 3.9 yards per attempt. You expect Kansas State to kind of roll out this same blueprint to stop him and to defend him. And I think they're going to be able to take him down this year. I think K-State is a better squad. And I think being on neutral instead gives the Wildcats a bit of a bump here instead of going to Iowa State. So couple of quick trends for this game as well. Kleiman took over at K-State in 2019. They are 43, 30, and 3 against the spread, which is the 6th best record in the country over that time. 27, 18, and 2 against the spread as a favorite, and 10, 7, and 1 against the spread against another ranked team. So I think this is a close game, but I do like K-State to win. I do like K-State to cover at the end. Give me them 24-20. So K-State -3, under 49.5. All right, we go to the next one, Joe. You're going to have to tell me if we're able to find this game anywhere. Idaho State at UNLV. I saw it's on the Mountain West Network. Don't know how we're going to tune into that, but 4 p.m. kick. UNLV 25.5 point favorite, over under 62.5. When I made it on Monday, McClay said it's already all the way up to 65 now.
I don't know how we'll find this game, Coyle. This might just be we're going to get updates on Twitter. And who knows? I never even knew the Mountain West had their own network, which is saying something because I feel like that's something I should know. But I'm going to go with UNLV 38, Idaho State 14. I'll take Idaho State. I've already bet them to cover the 25.5. Not because I'm not a believer in UNLV. Dan Mullen being there, I think, is awesome for a program that is very much on the rise, especially being in Vegas. All these teams leaving for the new Pac-12. UNLV staying behind. They have a chance to really dominate the Mountain West, really become a top dog in that conference, and then they can compete every single year for a playoff bid going forward. But I really love Dan Mullen being there this year. I just think, and I've kind of said it in years past talking about week 0. When you have a game this early, it can be sloppy at times. I'm not saying that UNLV is losing this game in any way, shape, or form because Idaho State is not a very good FCS team. But I think there's going to be a little bit of sloppiness. There's going to be a turnover to maybe Idaho State pops one off on a kick return or something like that. So I'll take Idaho State plus 25.5. They're actually the only dog that I've bet on this week. The other 4 have all been the favorites. But I'm going to go UNLV to win this game easily. Like I said, because last year, Coyle, you and I were all in on Hawaii playing Delaware State when their plane, like they missed their flight or something like that. And they covered the 30 points. And Delaware State was not a good football team. That's why I think 25.5 is a little bit too much. I have UNLV winning by 24, but I think the Idaho State will be able to keep it within the number.
Delaware State now led by Deshaun Jackson at the head coaching spot.
Yes.
Be interesting to see what goes on with that situation. But yeah, not much to say on this one for me, but I just think big picture wise, watch out for UNLV this season. Dan Mullen, as you touched on, leading the charge now. They were knocking on the door, potentially going to the playoff. And if they had beaten Boise State last year, they might have actually been that playoff team out of the G5. They arguably upgraded at coach, and they're projected to finish second in the Mountain West behind Boise State. So it's a team to watch out for. Watch out though. I think for this game, it sounds like they're going to be rotating at quarterback. Former Michigan quarterback Alex Orji will be getting reps for UNLV in this one, and former Virginia quarterback Anthony Calandria in the mix too. So I expect both these guys to play. I expect both these guys to kind of rotate series, and Dan Mullen kind of put his foot on the gas for the entire game. Maybe look at taking UNLV's team total over because it's a spot where he's looking to get what quarterback he wants pretty much for the rest of the season. I think out of this game, the quarterback competition most likely will end after this one. So both these guys are going to be out there. They're not going to be trying to kneel it out, run the ball out. They're going to be putting foot to the gas the entire game in this one. So I expect them to try to go up and down the field and score a lot. I do like them to cover that 25.5. But I do like the under. I don't think Idaho State's going to score that much. If you're going to take any over, I would recommend the UNLV team total because they're playing an FCS team. It probably doesn't come out till about Saturday morning, but keep an eye out for that. It's probably going to be north of 41, 42 points, I think. But give me UNLV 45-13. So UNLV minus 25.5, under 62.5. All right, probably the second best game of the day, at least on paper. Fresno State at Kansas, 6:30 kick on Fox. Kansas, a 12.5-point favorite. Over under 50.5. Kansas rolling out their new and upgraded $300 million football stadium, I think it was. So a pretty big moment for that program. Can they get back on track after a 5-7 year last year, Joe?
Yeah, I think Kansas is going to have a pretty solid year. I mean, dependent on Jalen Daniels staying healthy, of course. But I saw their win total was sitting around. I think it was 6.5 when I looked. I really like that. I think I might bet that before this weekend. Good, because I mean, if he stays healthy, there's no reason why Kansas can't mess around and be a top 25 football team. I don't think they have the horses to, make a run and make a real run at the Big 12 title, I should say. But I think they can definitely mess around and surprise, some teams and be that team late in the year where, like, let's say Baylor's going to Kansas and it's like, they could lose this game and fall out of the Big 12 title race. I think Kansas is going to be that team this year. But I'm going to go Kansas 42, Fresno 28. I'll go Kansas minus the 12.5. I actually bet this a month or so ago. I got it at 13.5. So my luck, Kansas will win by 13 points. I'm going to go with the over in this game as well. I really like the over 50.5. But my whole thing is Kansas opening up their new stadium. A lot of eyes going to be on the program. This game's on Fox, nationally televised week 0 game. There's no other FBS football game going on until 8 o'clock at night, which we'll get to in a little bit. You got Sam Houston, West Kentucky, but still, this is the biggest game on at that time slot. Gonna have a lot of eyes on it, so I'm gonna go with Kansas here. Big moment for the program, as you said, Coyle. I think they win and cover.
Yeah, excited for this one. I think it's actually going to be a pretty solid game. I could see Kansas pulling away down the stretch. Haven't heard a peep though about Kansas all year, and it's weird with an experienced quarterback like Jalen Daniels returning. Why can't Kansas potentially be that surprise team in the Big 12? We talk about all this parity, how the league's wide open. Arizona State came from the bottom last year. Could Kansas be that team? They're projected to finish like middle of the pack in this conference according to the gambling odds. Only went 5-7 last season. That was thanks to a really slow 1-5 start. But they won 3 of their last 4 to end the year, and that included ranked wins over Iowa State, BYU, and Colorado. I would just say keep an eye out for this Kansas team big picture this year. Should have some momentum heading into this year. Fresno State welcomes in E.J. Warner as their new starting quarterback. They're projected to finish 5th in the country. He's a very experienced quarterback between Temple and Rice. Probably the best situation he's had now with Fresno State. I think it's a game where we see 2 offenses go back and forth and put up some points on each other. I do like the over. I think Fresno State's going to be able to put up enough points to hang around. I like this one to be a bit of a track meet. Give me Kansas to win, but Fresno State to cover. I'll go 35-28. So Fresno State plus 12.5 over 50.5 in that one. All right, let's go to the CUSA now for the CUSA Conference opener. Sam Houston at Western Kentucky, 7 o'clock kick on CBS Sports Network. Western Kentucky, a 10-point favorite, over under at 60.5.
I am going with Western Kentucky here, 45-28. I will take Western Kentucky minus 10. I actually bet them. I got them at minus 7.5 back in June. In early June, I was fiending for football. I saw this line out. I took Western Kentucky. I think Western Kentucky is going to mess around and be in the CUSA title game. I think they're going to be very good this year. Sam Houston State lost some guys. Their coach left after a out of nowhere 10-win season last year. Sam Houston State really good last year, losing a lot of guys. Tough to go on the road in a conference game, this early. I said it earlier a couple times, but I think it's going to be a tough environment for Sam Houston State. I'm going with Western Kentucky here Going to take them to cover. 10 points is a little bit much, but I already took them, beforehand. So I'll take Western Kentucky again. And I'm going to go with the over 60.5.
Yeah, I think it should be a fun one with some fireworks. Western Kentucky projected to finish second in the conference. Sam Houston projected to finish fourth. So another matchup where maybe we look up in December and this is the conference title game. Sam Houston ushering in a new coaching staff after Casey Keeler left to go coach our Temple Owls. Western Kentucky, though, they're bringing back their head coach Tyson Helton. He's got this air raid offense. He's been there 4 or 5 years now. It's hard to prepare for. It's a good situation maybe that Sam Houston had the entire offseason to prepare for it, but it's a new coaching staff. So interesting to see kind of what they did this offseason. Their focus probably wasn't on stopping the air raid. It was probably implementing a new system. I think 10 points is too much, so I'm going to take Sam Houston to cover, but I do like some points in this one in the over as well, like you, Joe. I'll go 38-35 Western Kentucky win. So Sam Houston plus 10 over 60.5. All right, our final game of the night. Disappointed this one's not a little later, like a 9:30, 10. But whatever. Football's back on the screen. Can't have too many complaints. Stanford at Hawaii, 7:30 kick on CBS. Stanford, a power forward team playing at a G5 team, and they are an underdog in this one. Hawaii, 2.5-point favorite, over-under is 52.5.
I'm going with Hawaii here, 21-20. So Stanford, I'm going to take plus the 2.5. I'm going to go with the under 52.5. I mean, this is, we kind of see it. Hawaii now has kind of become a tradition of playing on week 0. They're getting a power conference team. Yes, even though it's Stanford, yes, they are slight favorites. I think it will be a sellout crowd. They're doing a whiteout. For some reason, I'm getting Hawaii football all over my timeline on Twitter. So I'm a believer in Hawaii. I took the money line at minus 125. I was too scared to bet the minus 2.5 for Hawaii. I think Stanford will keep it close. And the big thing is, like, Stanford, I don't know what to expect out of them. I think, they're going to kind of play old school football and keep it a low scoring game. I think Hawaii will be able to win this one. Like, I'm taking the under here, but I really, Stanford could be like really bad. I don't know about Purdue of last year bad, but Stanford could definitely struggle this year to win some games in the ACC. Makes me want to barf that I just said in the ACC, but I'm going to go with Hawaii here to win a close one. Big for them. National TV power conference program coming to you. So I'm going to go with Hawaii here, 21-20.
Yeah, not a good sign for Stanford's season. If they're an underdog against Hawaii in the opener, Hawaii projected to finish 7th in the Mountain West, and Stanford's projected to finish last in the ACC. With that being said, though, I'm going to take a chance on the Power 4 team that is an underdog against an average, middle-of-the-road Mountain West squad in Hawaii. Frank Reich, first game as Stanford head coach. I think he's going to be able to get the most out of this roster with his coaching experience. If Stanford loses this game outright, there's a chance that they go 0-12 this season. So they're going to be an underdog in every game from here on out, most likely. There has to be a major emphasis on getting a win because it might not be many opportunities, and it's kind of disappointing, depressing to say it, but Stanford, week 0 at Hawaii, this might be your Super Bowl. It might be your only chance to get a win this entire season. So I think Stanford's going to go out there, still a Power 4 team, be able to get this win against a G5 team in Hawaii. Give me Stanford 24-20, Stanford plus 2.5, under 52.5. All right. So usually we do our top 5 games of the week, ranked. We try to do every ranked game if possible. And then we do our G5 game of the week. This week we only have 5 games. So, we're bypassing that 6 game, obviously. Going to our dog of the day, which we pick an underdog of the week. We try to pick one that we like money line, but our favorite, at least, underdog spread of the week. And then our lock of the week, which is our favorite bet of the week as well. So limited options here this week. Joe, dog of the day for week 1 is going to be who?
Yeah, my dog of the day, I alluded to it earlier. The only dog that I actually bet on this week, I'm going to go to Idaho State plus 25.5. Once the season starts, I do try to do like money line dogs. But this week it's tough, with it being week 0. So I'm going to go with Idaho State here, cover that 25.5 point spread.
I'll go with Stanford plus 2.5. As I said, I think they're going to win outright. I think it's their best chance of getting a win this season. And once again, it's a Power 4 against a G5. I'm going to take my chances. And if they lose that game, I'll live with the result. So give me Stanford there plus 2.5. How about your lock of the week, Joe?
My lock of the week is Hawaii Stanford under 52.5. makes me want to throw up everywhere. But I'm going with the under. It's kind of just a plug your nose play. This is just because, like I said, I think Frank Reich is going to kind of play old school football here with Stanford, run the ball, try not to turn it over too much, kill a lot of clock, kind of limit Hawaii on offense here. So I'm going to go with the under 52.5 in the Hawaii Stanford game.
For my lock of the week this week, I'm going to go with the over of Kansas and Fresno State of 50.5. As I talked about in the game breakdown, Jalen Daniels, a really experienced electric quarterback. EJ Warner has been a very good quarterback wherever he's gone at the college level, whether it's been Temple, whether it's been Rice. He's been able to go out there and put up some points. This is the best situation that he's walked into. Kansas defense isn't an elite defense by any means. I think we see two really experienced quarterbacks go back and forth and put up some points on Saturday night. Out there in Kansas. So give me Kansas and Fresno State as my over, 50.5 as my lock of the week this week for week 0. Great first episode, Joseph. It was great getting back on the sticks and talking some college ball with you. We have an awesome week 1 next week to get into. Try and get that probably Tuesday or Wednesday. We might even go a little bit above and beyond our 5 or 6 games just because there's so many good games to touch on, maybe touch on some teams too that we haven't touched on yet. But any last second comments before we head out?
Right, it's football season now. This is the best time of year. From now till mid-February, it is the best time of year. Enjoy it. Let's get ready to roll.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, we'll be back next week. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Please like, please subscribe, and we'll talk soon.